So, I mean, I'm very excited for this last match between two very good teams. Yeah, the Wukong ban
Mm.
once more.
There must be some sort of like Trump pick that Wukong for it to come through twice in the bans is too much of a coincidence, to be honest. So
Agreed.
seeing it being a second time is definitely, it must be one of their picks, but it's looking like Six Wolves might fancy the Kaiser themselves with that blue priority pick.
Yeah,
There we
Kaisa,
go.
first game not doing too great, but the second game pulling it out. The AD build, very interesting build. Essence Reaver, Serpent's
Yeah.
Fang, Wits End, if I remember correctly.
Correct. Yeah.
And yeah, it was very interesting, but it did work out super well. Had a ton of damage much earlier on in
Ooh.
the game than AD Kaisa.
Orn comes out to play. Oh no. Orn and Camille survive the first 6 bans and they come out to play as well. Uh, uh,
When?
uh,
Ooh, the Lulu. Okay.
it would be
The Blam is
interesting
freaking
to
out over Orn
see
Camille.
when.
I completely agree. These champs are insane. But Lulu is my permanent ban in solo queue. That
Hmm.
champion haunts me in my nightmares. I can't escape. But yes,
Yeah,
Orn
I mean,
Camille. Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's fine. I mean, we're currently seeing that the support on the side of Six Wolves are definitely favoring Enchanter support rather than tank supports because they haven't once played a tank in this best of 3. They've gone both times for Karma, and now they're going for the Lulu. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the Lulu, but we've also got the Gwen as well. So I can't imagine the Kaiser's going to go AP. We may see that AD Kaiser come through for Six Wolves, but interestingly enough, I'm wondering if this Camille is going to be jungle or the Ornn is going to be support. But they are two great flex picks and two brilliant picks anyway to go for when you get the first 2 priority picks for red side.
Yeah, Gwen and Kaisa both have auto attacks, so I think Lulu is a very nice champ here. But beyond that, I think Camille jungle and Gwen jungle both clear extremely slowly in the early game. So I doubt there will be much jungle action unless Camille goes level 3 gank, obviously. But beyond that, I don't see a ton of jungle action happening. So we might have a bit more, like a bit of a slow paced game on our hands for the final game here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd expect anything less than a slow-paced game, to be honest. I'd be very, very shocked if we managed to get a quite quick pace, but they're looking to ban the rest of the enchantment supports here, which is very interesting, considering we haven't had a single enchanter support for um, the side of superiority for the majority of the best of 3. They had Rakan and they had Galio, so not quite screaming the urgency of an enchanter support, but it looks like the Vi is getting locked in here. Are we going to get the Ornn Varus in the duo lane, Camille in the top lane, Vi in the jungle, and then, yeah, what's this last pick going to be? That's what's going to really make this superiority team comp fall into place.
Uh, did you mention Varus mid? I feel like it could also be that, possibly.
It could, but I mean, with Varus having a bit of poke, I reckon it's going to be more so in the bot lane, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. That could be. That's probably the case. Probably more likely to be the case. The Kha'Zix, very interesting.
So we know that Gwen's going to go into that Baron lane against whatever's going to be the Baron lane for superiority here, but I think it's going to be the Camille personally, especially now that we have Vi in the jungle, and it is looking like we're going to lock in that Swain for the 3rd time. They got rid of the Rakan, which was a bit of an upset. They've taken the Kaiser, which is a little bit more of an engage, disengage. They do, however, have the Vi. They have the Camille with the Hextech Ultimatum. I mean, obviously, you don't want to trap yourself in with Swain with the Hextech Ultimatum. But you're more than likely going to pick off one of the other enemy team champions with that Hextech Ultimatum. But yeah, there's a lot going on here, especially with the massive engage potential from the Ornn. It could be massive. So yeah, Ornn support with the Varus, Ari in the mid lane, Camille in the top.
Yeah,
Very,
Camille,
very
Vi,
interesting.
Ari, Ornn. Some very strong engage into
Mm.
their comp. But they do have Swain and Gwen who can like kind of stymie a lot of the engages. So it'll be interesting. They'll have to get on Kaisa, but they also have a Lulu to protect it. It really could go either way here, but I personally don't love the Kha'Zix into Vi Camille, but I think besides that, it really does seem like a pretty even draft.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's definitely a switch up to what we were used to, especially the Lulu, even though it's not very like veering far from the other enchanter support pick like the Karma. We still get the support tank on the other side of Superiority here. But the likes of the Ari, I think, really went well last time, but we get the Vi in the jungle and the Camille. So them getting the Ornn and the Camille is potentially me thinking that this is going to be a superiority 2 or 1 because those are just two champions that are just massive picks. Massive, massive picks that are normally always banned.
Yeah. They were left up in this game, and we'll have to see if they can make use of it. Will live up to their pick ban status, or if they will fall short. But yeah, bot lane looks like the Lulu versus the Ornn. Lulu will be pushing him in a little bit earlier. Top lane, Camille should probably get better poke on Gwen early. Well, actually, it could go either way. But yeah, and then mid lane, Ari has more range. So we'll have to see where these junglers path, how the matchups will go. But yeah, I guess Vi could be pretty interesting early game. We thought it was Camille, so the jungle matchup would be pretty stale early game. But Vi can definitely make some early game things happen. So we'll have to see.
Oh yeah, massive. She's got massive gank potential, especially with that first ability. Also having the stacks on her second ability with the shield, I think it is, if I've got that correct. But also gets the movement speed increase as well. So not only for a great engage, but also survivability in these ganks, but also to disengage as well. So, yeah, I mean, the Gwen will probably be a great one-on-one for the Camille in the Baron lane. Once she gets those 3 items, we always talk about the Gwen being exactly the same as the AP Kaiser build. If you haven't got those 3 items, it's kind of like, you gotta be careful. You just gotta be careful. But Ornn already placing that totem into the knockup, into the back line already to the Kaiser. So he's clearly looking for a knockup onto the Kaiser for the Varus to go in with the Q to get that massive poke damage, which I think is going to be the big combo for the dual lane to watch out for.
It'll also come down to if Lulu can shield in time from the Ornn pillars and the Varus poke. His first skill and third skill. We'll have to see how well she plays this lane.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting to see if Swain actually manages to adapt to the Ari gameplay, because I feel like Ari with a charm as well, especially with the ult activation into level 5, being able to disengage and re-engage whenever she wants to, was definitely a hard thing for the Swain to get into, especially when some of the spells was all exhausted, like you said in the second game, sorry.
Oh,
but here's that Foxfire.
Oh,
big engage.
Close.
Very close. Kill there onto the Swain. Very, very close.
Vi got that last empowered auto off with the E. There's a case you can make to say he would die, but yeah, Swain's movements dodged the Ari charm on complete accident, and the play was pretty dead from there.
Definitely. But once again, we're seeing it from Ludo. He is definitely a roaming support player. He is just not happy to stick in his lane. He wants to roam. He wants to go. Take him home to the country road, to the place where he belongs, which is either in mid lane or dual lane. Currently, he's just happily roaming to get that gank. Missing the knock up onto the Lulu, though. That could have been great for them. Could have been a great bit of damage onto the Lulu. Possibly a kill with the Varus damage. But I'm very interested to see that the Varus has gone for lethal tempo over first strike. We actually have the only first strike is onto the Kha'Zix once again.
Lethal tempo Varus could be in response to like the Swain front line, and yeah, like maybe lethality Varus will not do that well into it. But yeah, I guess it would be their consistent damage, right? Because they don't have anyone else. Maybe that's what he was thinking.
Definitely, definitely. But once again, like we said in the draft, it is going to be a bit of a slower tempo match. The only real clutch moment we had was with the Vi engage in that mid lane where we almost saw Swain fall to the first blood. I'm pretty sure first blood was on Swain last match as well. So we see the Vi once again going in. Nope, she is charging those fists, but decides to go for the Rift Scuttle that is about to come back cooldown to give that vision to her team in the river.
I think topside is very susceptible for a dive if Vi looks for it. Unfortunately, she goes back mid, looking for the mid gank instead. Can Ornn get the
Swain's gonna
knockup?
be
He
careful.
does.
Oh, he did not see that Ornn there. That is just unfortunate, if I'm gonna be punny there, like chat has been for the entirety of the stream. Ludo looking pretty low there. Oh, it's again so close, but no cigar for either team.
Very timely rotation from the support and jungler on the side of Six Wolves. I was really looking forward to a dive on the top side, making use of this Camille ultimate, but it looks like both sides just elect to let their top lane scale and play for that, play for the mid lane. Yeah, Ludo.
Interesting though, the Infernal Dragon is first, so I think there's going to be a bit of a priority. If there's not, then I feel like there's a bit of a silly going on there. If you're not prioritizing that first dragon, that's Infernal Dragon, considering there's a lot of AP damage and attack damage going on within these teams. I mean, for a Gwen, that Infernal Drake could mean the upset of a 1v1, but Kha'Zix's almost getting caught out just before the first objective in the jungle. That set it up really nicely for superiority there, knowing that the Kha'Zix has to recall. And they could pretty much take out that dragon very quick before Kha'Zix even gets anywhere near it. And they do! That was a well set up play there for superiority.
What an absolute tragedy for Six Wolves. They didn't even know it was warded, and Kha'Zix just got chunked for 90% of his health and had to burn flash. So. Oh, Camille got cancelled.
Oh, that was a nice interaction though with the third ability, with the second ability, cancelling out the Hextech ultimatum. I did not know that was even a thing.
I did not either. I thought it would put it back.
That was very well played.
Yeah. Genuinely, I mean, well, nice try to the Gwen, but unfortunately the Camille just followed with flash and just took her out. Camille has a stronger spike mid game than Gwen does, but Gwen definitely outscales her.
Yes, definitely. I think that's what they got to try and play for, is a late game match, just to try and get Gwen and even Kaiser, try and get Gwen and Kaiser just activated in their scaling. I think if they happen to do that, which I'm pretty sure that Superiority's main goal is to not let it get to that point in the end game, that they do get activated and they do have their max playability and outplay potential between the Kaiser and the Gwen, especially with the Lulu as well.
True. Let's see. This Vi and Kha'Zix are both playing bot side at this point in the game. They want to, if they can shut down either one of those and get like the entire tower at this point, it could be very, very detrimental for the other side. They fought both Swain and Kaisa. Means Ahri can maybe just get mid push because it's just the Lulu that's defending.
Yeah, it's. Oh man, like literally one kill each. I mean, it's definitely put Six Wolves in a better position than they were in the last match, because obviously we were 2-0 for quite some time on the side of superiority. But for them to actually get a first kill pretty soon, Ludo getting caught out here. I mean, there's a lot of damage going on to Ludo. We have the Rift Herald being dropped into a side lane rather than the mid lane. They decided to go for a bit of a different strategy here compared to what Superiority have been doing with Shelly. They normally drop it in the mid lane to get that mid priority in order first. But it looks like Swain wants to get one of these side lanes taken, because they, if anything, that's what they've been struggling with in the past 2 games on the side of Six Wolf, is that side lane priority.
I think something that people don't consider when dropping Rift Herald in side lanes is that it gives like that one person a massive burst of gold, right? But you have to catch each wave before it hits that turret, right? And that turret is extremely close to your side, so you could get that burst of gold, but you could bleed minions for the rest of the game. So it really Really is that
Oh,
chaos. Oh, but
nice.
Kaisa,
Oh,
what a
wow.
beautiful play.
Tsukiyomi. Nice play.
And we didn't see how the beginning of that play went, but the Q flash
Mhm.
backwards to dodge the charm from under the tower. Absolute
Beautiful.
beautiful gameplay. Complete. Yeah, that was really good. Oh, the
Oh,
unknown.
Orn going in.
That
Onto
was follow up
Tsukiyomi, but
though.
Tsukiyomi has the Lulu ult onto her. She is a chunky gal. Orn is pretty low as well. They're going to go for the mid turret also. Okay. So a refocused 6 wolves. They're actually prioritizing these turret takedowns very early to get that gold plating, the additional gold as well. But they've also ahead with the kills. So finally, they've turned it around into the third match in that they've actually decided to go for the gold lead earlier on, because in the past 2 games we've been seeing that Superiority have been pretty much solidified in the gold lead in the past 2 games. But this time around, 6 wolves have definitely tried a different approach, and it's kind of working for now, and I think it's only going to get better as we see the activation of the Gwen. She's got the Riftmaker. There is the Hextech Ultimatum. Not quite onto the Gwen, so she can't use that very useful interaction, but she does have the ult still. And the Ignite is on the Camille, but there's just nobody else to come round. The Lulu is just not the perfect pick for that rotation. Possibly somebody like the Kaiser would have probably come and cleaned up that entire Baron lane.
That Violet under the turret was very brave, but she did manage to get that kill and to get out with her life, but she does not have it for this dragon. So if their team can get there in time, but it does not look like they'll be able to. They're just rushing this Drake.
Yeah. I feel like, as well as like 6 wolves are playing right now, it looks like Superiority are going for those 3 dragons win conditions, it seems, because they've got the Infernal Dragon. That Infernal Dragon is now going to further be boosted by that Ocean Drake, which is just going to become more troublesome.
Swain lands the pull. Oh, and the Varus is picked. That's going in, but she has no damage.
Tsukiyomi looks pretty low, but the Lulu ult onto Tsukiyomi. Double kill for Swain. Swain is now activated. It has been a long time coming since the first match, but he is back. He has now fallen after a great double kill from Swain, and it's his only first death there. We're actually seeing the lethality being built onto Kha'Zix's first item as well. And I mean, Kha'Zix seems to be doing quite a bit of damage into these engages. He's currently ahead of the gold, very slightly with the Vi. Gwen falling behind, though, in this Baron lane matchup in terms of the gold, pretty much by 1.1k gold.
Yeah, she will maybe get this tower, but Ari's protecting it. Outpush. Yeah, game's pretty much reset into a pretty neutral position. I mean, obviously with a slightly to superiority. I mean 6 wolves. Oh, but a pick on the Ari.
Massive. Massive for actually bringing that gold lead a little bit more towards coming closer between Gwen and Camille, but Camille having a great split push down there in the bot lane. Swain going in 3v1. Lulu coming around, but it's going to be a little bit too late there. She did try a darndest to get in there with that movement speed increase of her abilities, but we do see that Gwen and Kha'Zix managed to push that top lane turret as well. So for all first tier turrets are gone for Superiority, which is a little bit looking like a mimic of what Superiority did to 6 wolves last game. So they are definitely learning, they're definitely changing their approach, and I feel like when you get to this 3rd game in a series, you kind of can't have that same stale approach you've been having for the past 2 games. You have to switch it up somehow, and I feel like they're successfully doing it yet, but I think the Gwen just needs to get those 3 AP items. She's going for the Nash's Tooth as the 2nd item, Riftmaker as the 1st. But we're also seeing Riftmaker being built onto the Swain, which is a little bit different to the first game. We saw Swain go Rod of Ages, then Rylai's. So he's definitely looking for a little bit something different this time around.
I think he's doing this because they have like so much dive on him anyway that they're probably just going to stay in his vicinity and he doesn't need to slow them. That might be what he's going. That might be what's going through his head.
Yeah, I mean, they've got literally 3 close range champions, to be honest. So I think that is probably a very good shout, to be honest.
Yeah. Kaisa already has magic resist for Ari, so she won't be getting one shot anytime soon.
Yeah, Wits End, it looks like she's building another It could possibly be Infinity Edge there. Second item. I don't think it will be, but it kind of looks like it. Essence Reaver as well. We've seen that twice being built. Ludo knows that what's going on there. I'm not too sure what was going on. It seemed like there was a little bit of a delay for what Quee wanted to do. Swain came around as well, but didn't quite get the engage onto the Ornn. Knowing that the Ori and the Varus was close by was probably a very good call. We do see that the Hullbreaker has been activated on the Camille now, so they've got to be careful. They can't allow the Camille just to split push. But she's going back for what possibly could be a building of another item. And it looks like Executioner's calling for an anti-heal onto the Gwen.
I think, okay, it's probably not going to be like the other games where Camille can just ignore Gwen and hit the tower, because Gwen is such a damage threat late game. So I think it won't end in the same way. So I think that's always a good sign. It'll end in like a team fight or something. But yeah, this next Drake is coming up, and Camille has built Hullbreaker. Is on the opposite side of the map. So it looks like she's just electing to take turrets. But this is their third Drake, so I'm a little interested in this decision making.
Yeah, I think it's probably in Superiority's best interest to try and get some turrets here to put a bit of pressure on the side lanes, because they're kind of getting comfortable on the side of 6 wolves here, knowing that they have all the turrets in the first tier. But we do see that Kha'Zix gets the first dragon for themselves. This time around it is Mountain Dragon, which is going to be massive in terms of the armor for these champions. But currently they are on a 2-2 trade. It could possibly potentially come down to a 3-2 trade, but Camille is going in onto the Swain. Swain gets help from the Gwen, both pretty low. Camille could come out of here with a massive double kill. So there's one. She goes in for another, but decides to peel back a little bit from the Swain. But that is a massive trade there for Superiority, getting a 2-4 trade. And then getting a mid lane turret. And potentially this bot lane turret as well. This could be the turnaround that Superiority needed. It's just that massive team fight.
And the Camille, I think in that fight, she was split off from the rest of the team, so she did end up getting that Hullbreaker bonus. So she was just straight up 1v2ing Gwen and Swain. And a 1 kill. Didn't need to kill Swain because, I mean, the fight was pretty much over. Just got the turret instead. Yeah. Well played to her. And yeah, she's back in base, has like a 2.5k gold lead. So, yeah, she's in very good shape. Kha'Zix has a gold lead over Vi, though. Yeah. Did that fight really well.
Right, I think this is where it kind of like, you can kind of make a debate for. I think that the gold lead for Camille is probably a lot more vital than it is for the Kha'Zix, because as you just saw there, Camille was able to easily just like 2v1 the Swain, and regardless of his sustained anti-heal, self-heal, sorry, and the Gwen as well, because she has the Executioner's Call in. So it's definitely working out for the Camille. The potentially go for the Bork is the third item that Camille is completely brought there. But still, Gwen doesn't have that third AP item, which we know is when she activates. But how are we feeling, V? Do you reckon that they're going to get to that stage where Gwen finally gets that full built third item, or is it going to be over before then?
Let's just look at this fight real quick, then I got you. Gwen cutting through
no worries. No worries.
Not enough damage for that Rabadon, because yeah, she does need that Rabadon. Neo locks one down.
Right. Great Hextech ultimated there by the Camille onto the Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix actually still staying alive though because of that Guardian Angel. If it went for the GA, he would have been dead A. But now we're over from that interaction. What would you say to my previous point?
I think the game will stall out long enough, because Gwen is behind. Like, we look at Swain, he does have the gold lead. Isa's pretty even, and she has a Lulu. So I do think that this game will go to a point where Gwen can get 3 items. I think she'll be able to start impacting team fights, but until then, she is just trying to farm up for that death cap, while Camille still has her 3 items.
Yeah, it looks like I'm guessing she's going to go back and bite completely now, because she hasn't bought an item for quite some time. I think that the Gwen was just looking for the right amount of gold to buy it. Oh no, she's going for a magic pen item here. So potentially looking at Echo Staff or something of the likes here. But the Elder Dragon is up in 7 seconds. I think we're going to see a big old brawl for this. Gwen already in the side lanes looking for a rotation down to support her team. We already know that Vi and Superiority can pretty much melt down these dragons very quickly. But I feel like whoever gets this Elder Dragon, or if it's just being used as a bait tool, can gain either way if they get a team wipe or a 3-0, something that's a net positive trade in their favor, or potentially just go for the Elder Dragon and then go for a team wipe.
Camille electing to go side lane during Elder. None of them are really posturing for starting it, so I think she feels very comfortable being the side lane. Udo maybe getting put out, but nah, he just walks it out.
Yeah, no, when you've got an orb with that much health, it's kind of hard to sort of do anything right now, but I think it's a bit of a mistake here for Six Wolves, letting the Camille just run all the way to this inhibitor. Gwen was mirroring, she was contemplating it, but here's that teleport in to the Elder Dragon. Who's going to get it? Who is going to get it? We are not sure who got that there. We'll let them know it is a red team that has got the Elder Dragon. It is a team wipe. That red minion wave is up in the Baron lane. They're looking to focus this mid lane as well. They can pretty much take their time into this inhibitor and the Nexus, because it's basically 30 seconds until somebody is back, which is just a massive amount of time. It's past that 16-minute mark. The Nexus does not have a shield. It is going to go down. Superiority, unfortunately for Six Wolves, are taking a 2-1 victory to go through to the semi-finals to fight Afro Z3. But what a match. That was a great way to sign off the last best of 3 of the weekend, I would say. Any closing thoughts before we go on to PSV?
No, I think just a very fluctuating game. There were points where it was like very fast paced and slow paced, but that ending was really, really intense. So I liked, like you said, great way to close it out.
Definitely. So we'll head over to Piers for the last time of the weekend. What was your closing thoughts on that one?
I mean, my closing thoughts happened like right on Red pick 1 and 2. They got Camille Orn, and I'm glad I wasn't casting, because I would have said GG right there, and you know that's not how we do it here. I mean, I can't imagine a world where you trade Kaisa for Camille Orn, but we're living in it. And you have the follow up, like you have such great supporting picks here with those 2 champs. You know, you have the Vi Ari combo. It's actually very strong. The follow up with the Varus. So I mean, it's a really, really scary comp to play against. See, the Vi has 7,000 damage here. Like it's not a big deal though, because her job is literally to press R. You know, press R, and then you have so much follow up. And she, you know, got her smites done. It's just from draft, it's so difficult to win that game. Yeah, I think it's so